It doesn't matter who you're losing business to, who's most competitive right now. It's about focusing on the things that you can control. Hey, welcome to the Insurance Buzz. I am your host, Michael Weaver, and I'm flying solo today. And we're going to be talking about Progressive Insurance and their aggressive approach to gaining market share in Q1 of 2025, baby. So this topic has come up because of you. Many of you have reached out and you're like, Michael, I'm losing policies. Progressive is taking policies. Progressive's prices, they're crushing us. It goes on and on and on. I've been reached out by all the agents from all the major carriers. And so I wanted to jump on real fast and just talk about the three things I would do right now if I'm in your situation to really make sure that I have a good grasp on my business, who's leaving, who are we gaining, and what you can do to offset if you are losing business to Progressive. And the biggest thing before we get into the steps is just remembering that this is a cyclical business, right? So sometimes companies are extremely competitive and other times they are not competitive at all. And I believe that this change, while in the past, I think that this was a cyclical event that happened every 3 to 5 years. I now believe that this is going to be happening on an every 12 to 18, 24-month basis, just of prices, inflation, technology, and things of that nature for the foreseeable future. And so when it comes to, I don't care if you're losing business to Progressive, Geico, State Farm, Allstate, Farmers, it doesn't matter who you're losing business to, who's most competitive right now. It's about focusing on the things that you can control, right? Like, what can we do every single day to move the needle forward in our business? And when it comes to, hey, who am I losing business to, right? And so right now, the question is Progressive. Progressive is crushing us. What can we do? I'm tired of losing business to them. I'm tired of my team every day struggling in the conversations because they're getting crushed by the price. And so, number one, the very first thing I would do is analyze the data. So analyze the data. That is step one. And what I mean by analyze the data is so many times, at least in my experience, we overestimate, right, the actual pain. We overestimate the pain. Like, so when I say analyze the data, are you actually losing a ton of people to Progressive or whoever it may be in your market share right now? Maybe Progressive isn't the leader in your market share. Maybe somebody else is extremely competitive. So if I'm an owner and I'm listening, and even if I'm a producer and I feel like, man, I'm getting beat by Progressive every single day, well, is this a true story or is this not a true story, number one? And that's what I mean by analyzing the data. So going through your data of your current customers and new prospects. So current customers are going to be easy because they're calling in to cancel you. They're sending in the cancellation documents. So how many customers are leaving you and actually going to Progressive? Or I would actually recommend making sure that you know who you're losing customers to, because typically there's going to be 2 to 3 companies that you're losing customers to on a monthly, quarterly basis. So me personally, I like to know that data. So I'm going to be tracking that data. Hey, who am I losing business to? Even more importantly, what type of households are leaving, right? Because if you have 50 single line auto households leave you in a week, that feels like a lot, right? That feels like a lot, but it's only single line households. Those may be customers that you may not even want on your book, in your book anymore, right? And so that's what I mean by sometimes we overestimate the pain. So not only who are we losing business to, but who are you losing? Who is the current customer and who is the prospect that you are losing? Are you losing the households that have multiple cars, a house, financial services products? Are you losing those customers? Maybe no financial service products, maybe multiple cars, a fire product like a homeowner's and umbrella policy, or multiple cars, a renter's and an umbrella policy. Are those the customers that are leaving you? Are they? Now, there may be some good households leaving you, but what I'm going to guesstimate here, and this is just my guess, is that a majority of the customers that are leaving you to go to Progressive, right, are probably single line, very minimal paying households that came to you based off of price if I had to guess. Unless you're just taking giant rate increases, right? Because that's the typical reason why people shop, either giant rate increases or they have a bad claims experience. And so you understanding the data on, okay, who's leaving us and who are we losing, right, on the new business side of things. What households are quoting against you when it comes to, for in this example, Progressive? Are those households that you even want to do business with? Are those even households that you want to attract to your book of business? So analyzing the data, because when you analyze the data, this is going to tell you the true story versus the feelings, right? Oh man, I feel like we're just getting crushed by Progressive every single day, or I feel like we're getting crushed by State Farm every day, or I feel like we're getting crushed by Geico every day, right? Emotions aren't always the truth, right? So emotionally can be an emotional roller coaster every single day. But what is the actual truth? That's what I mean by analyze the data. So that's step one of what I would do is I would really analyze the data and figure out the true story of what's happening and who is leaving, right? Because if it's a bunch of single line households, maybe you don't feel so bad about losing those households. Now, if you're losing really good households of multiple cars, homeowners, financial services products, umbrellas, that's painful. And now we got to figure out, how do we not lose the good business that we're losing, right? How do we not lose, whether they're current customers or new customers that we're talking to? So this goes into step two, and this is making sure that you have your value statement, your value story down for both the new business prospect and the current customer, right? And what I mean by this is in today's times, when I think of insurance, $100 a month for good insurance is just not that much anymore. I don't know about you, but Courtney and I just went out to eat the other night. It wasn't a fancy restaurant, right? So just normal food, couple drinks. That's all we had. 2 drinks apiece. The bill was $173 before tip. So we're over $200 after tip on just a single meal for 2 people going out. Nothing crazy, not even a steak dinner, right? And so the world we live in, $100 a month is just not that much anymore, right? For being properly protected, making sure that they have good customer service, making sure that someone's on the other end of the phone if this is important to them and not talking to a 1-800 number. And so that's how I'm breaking it down to cut specifically to current customers that want to leave, right? So understanding that you have your value pitch down and your value education down around, hey, I understand we're more expensive, but we're more expensive for a reason, and go into the reason and then go into the reasoning why. Hey, and if you choose to leave, your rates are going to go up in 6 months, right? Educating on that side. So do you really want to go through the hassle of switching companies just to save a couple bucks a month with someone that you don't even know, that probably a 1-800 number, right? Did they educate you on the policies, or were they fixated on saving you money? Because that's what I find is most insurance companies and insurance agents are fixated on saving you money. They're not necessarily fixated on making sure that when it comes claim time, you're properly protected, which with our policies and our coverage, this is your protection, right? And so before making the switch, we'd love for you to just send those over real fast to make sure that saving you money now doesn't cost you money in the long run, right? Because that's my job as your risk advisor. That's my job as your insurance advisor, is to make sure that when it comes claim time that you're happy, that you are not out of pocket thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, because most of our clients would rather pay more on a monthly basis than have to come out of pocket $25,000, $50,000, $100,000 come claim time because their policy wasn't set up correctly on the front end. So that's where I'm going. I'm going to, where can I make sure I have my value pitch, my education down when customers want to call in and cancel? What can I do to save their business? And maybe that's the question. What can I do to save your business? What would it take? What would it take besides matching price, right? And then on the back end with prospects, making sure your value proposition is educational, right? It's empowering. You're utilizing stories. There's a difference between you and the other person on the phone that they're talking to besides price. That's what customers are looking for. And so if you're losing to a ton of businesses, specifically if the only business that you're writing is if you're saving money, right? It's only going to get tougher. And I know I've said this multiple times on the Insurance Buzz, but when you win on price, you lose on price. And that's why I gave you step one. Make sure you analyze the data to see who's leaving you, the tenure, how long they've been with you, the size of household, things of that nature. That's extremely important. But step two is, how are you handling the calls to come in and cancel? What does your value proposition look like? What's the education look like? On the back end with prospects that you're losing because you're more expensive, what's your value prop there? What's the education? What's the stories that you're sharing to help the customer understand what insurance actually does for them, right? If this is a painful season for you, you have to change what you're doing. The definition of doing the same thing over and over is insanity, right? Doing something over and over, the same thing, and expecting a different result. And in the insurance industry, we're experiencing change extremely quickly. And so this is evolving. This is evolution. You also have to evolve. So if you're not currently happy with your situation, or maybe you just want more, whatever it is, you have to do things differently, which is part of the reason why we do the Insurance Buzz, is to offer ideas, right, that you can run with and try and see success from to see if it's for you or not. All right, so I said I was going to give you three things. So step one was analyze the data. Step two was understanding how to handle these calls that are coming in every single day to cancel, right? What can you do to save their business? Education, value proposition, your pitch ultimately to keep their business. The third thing I would say is making sure you have a tremendous win-back strategy if you don't already have that going in your business. And so what a win-back strategy is if you've never heard of a win-back strategy means that you have a process in place that you are calling customers that leave you either 5 months from now or 11 months from now, right? So I always like the 5-month mark because they remember who you are, good service. Hey, just giving you a call. You showed up on my calendar today. I said I was going to give you a call at the 5-month mark when your bill came in. If it's like 9 out of 10 of my customers that I've called to also win their business back, your rates have went up, and I'd love to just give you a free quote today. So are you still there at 101 Main Street? I'm not asking them if they want to quote. I'm not asking them if they're happy with their service. I'm going to go right into that win back. I'm going to bring up the conversation. Hey, I'm calling you back just like I said I would at your 5-month mark at your renewal, because your rates probably went up. And if you're like 9 out of 10 ex-customers I've called, your rates did go up. And I'd love to help you out today, just like I've been helping the last 9 out of 10 people that I've talked to. So is your address still the 101 Main Street, or are the vehicles still the 2020 Ford and the 2022 Chevy? Right? So making it easy going into that assumption. So you can either have a 5-month win-back process or an 11-month, like on that fire renewal when their renters or their homeowners comes up, specifically homeowners, second renewal on the auto, guarantee the rates are going to go up. That is just the cyclical market we live in. Now, just because you're calling them because their rates went up, do not sell based off of saving them money, because you're going to put yourself right back in the situation you were on the front end. So the whole conversation needs to be about relationships, needs to be about adequate protection, value, education, empowerment, what insurance actually does for them come claim time, making sure that you have multiple products per household, more coverage, more products every single time, so the customer is buying on value, not on price because you saved them money. You rather be more expensive, right? So those are the 3 steps. So the 3 steps: analyze the data, make sure your value proposition saving business, right, process is in place when they call in, or even on the new business side of things, right? Value prop, education, empowerment, extremely important. Why rates are going up, what's important to them, why saving a couple dollars can actually cost them thousands in the long run by having a policy or plan in place that's not adequate for their situation, okay? And then the third thing is a win-back process. And the biggest thing I want to reiterate here is whether you take all 3 things or you just take one thing, actually take it and run with it and do it. Again, this is why we do what we do on the Buzz, is to offer up free ideas that work. And because we understand it is tough in your situation every single day. We understand it is a competitive market, and we want to give you ideas that you hear and you're like, oh man, that sounds awesome. Then you got to go do it. You have to implement, you have to take action. And the whole reason I even wanted to do this episode is because I've been reached out by so many of you that are struggling right now, again, in this case, just against Progressive. And that's why I wanted to do a podcast on this one. And because this is something that doesn't matter, again, if it's Progressive, if it's Allstate, if it's Farmers, if it's State Farm, it just doesn't matter. Every company is always going to go through markets and time periods where they're really good, and then their rates are not that good, right? And so this is something that you're going to endure and come across your entire insurance career. And so these three things are just the things that I would be doing on an every month, every quarter basis of understanding who's actually leaving, who are we gaining, why are they coming to us, why are they leaving, what can I do to save the business? So other than that, I hope that this was beneficial for you. Remember to control what you can control. Your work ethic, your attitude, your calls, your conversations, the amount of times you're asking for the business, right? Making sure that you're always quoting more coverage and more policies because your job is to make sure that the customer is adequately protected come claim time. These are all things that you can control. You can't force someone to buy from you, but you can give them a proposal that offers so much value that it is extremely hard for them to say no, even though that you are more money and you took the time to build a relationship, get to know them. What's important to them come claim time, what's important to them when it comes to customer service, helping them understand more about your policies and the importance of being properly protected come claim time. These are all things you can control. And I'll go back to attitude. That is the thing that you have the utmost, all right, control over is your attitude. Are you optimistic? Are you pessimistic? Are you coming in every single day with a can-do attitude? You're ready to get things done, all gas, no brakes, baby? Are you coming in like, oh man, I bet Progressive kicks my butt again today. Oh, it's going to be terrible today on the phones. Right? That's the attitude piece that you can control, and attitude goes a long ways. Attitude will help you accomplish anything you want in life, and it's what helps you get through the tough times. And remember, the tough time that you're experiencing right now, these are all learning lessons that you can take with you and learn from and implement new ideas, new processes, new strategies, new ways of talking to people to where when you come across this in the future, it's not as painful. You're like, I've been through this. I got it. It's time to rock and roll, baby. So as always, time and attention are by far our most important assets. I appreciate you spending time with me today on The Buzz. Go out and make it great, baby.